The rain-slicked streets of San Francisco gleamed under the sodium lamps like veins of molten silver. And Aurora Hale stood at the edge of the rooftop party, her champagne flute trembling in her manicured hand. She had always been the flawless silhouette against her father's senatorial campaigns, poised, photogenic. The golden girl who whispered policy points into his ear like sweet nothings, but tonight, as thunder grumbled over the bay, she felt the first crack in her porcelain facade. And then she saw her, across the crowded terrace, a woman with storm-gray eyes and a laugh that cut through the chatter like a blade, leaning against the railing as if she owned the storm itself. Aurora's breath caught, sharp and unbidden, because in that instant, the world tilted. She was 28. Engaged to a man whose name sounded like a merger, Ethan Caldwell, heir to a tech fortune, with a smile engineered for billboards, and yet here, under the relentless drizzle that beaded on her lashes, she wondered if she'd ever truly breathed before. The party was her father's latest triumph, a fundraiser for his re-election bid, high above the financial district, where donors in bespoke suits mingled with influencers snapping selfies against the fog-shrouded Golden Gate. Senator Richard Hale, silver-haired and silver-tongued, held court near the bar, his arm around Aurora's mother, Evelyn, whose pearls matched the frost in her smile. Aurora had grown up in this orbit, born in the manicured suburbs of Marin County, summers in D.C., townhouses, winters skiing in Tahoe. She was the campaign trail's secret weapon, the daughter who quoted climate bills at breakfast, volunteered at soup kitchens for the cameras, and dated men who could fund the next PAC. But beneath the tailored sheaths and rehearsed anecdotes, Aurora carried a quiet ache, a whisper she drowned in late-night runs along the Embarcadero. She sipped her champagne, the bubbles biting like accusations, and forced her gaze back to the woman by the railing. She was mid-30s, perhaps, with cropped dark hair tousled by the wind, olive skin glowing under the string lights, and a leather jacket slung over a simple black dress that hugged her like a second skin. No, not a donor, too unpolished, too real. A journalist? Aurora's pulse quickened. Her father had warned her about the press. Those vultures circling for scandals in a city where tech bros and activists clashed like tectonic plates. Aurora, darling, her mother's voice sliced through, Evelyn materializing at her side with a plate of canapés. Smile for the Thompsons. They're bundling 50,000. Evelyn's eyes, the same green as Aurora's but hardened by decades of polling data, flicked over her daughter's face. You look peaked. Is it the engagement ring? Too flashy. Aurora glanced down at the diamond on her finger, 3 carats. Flawless. A promise she'd accepted 6 months ago in a Napa vineyard, surrounded by family and flashbulbs. It's perfect, Mom. Just the rain. She mustered the smile, the one that had graced billboards from Sacramento to Seattle, and posed for the photo. But as the Thompsons cooed over her radiance, her eyes betrayed her, drifting back to the woman, who was now turning, as if sensing the weight of her stare. Their gazes locked, and the air between them hummed. The woman tilted her head, a slow smile curving her lips, not predatory, but knowing, like she'd seen through the rain to the girl beneath. Aurora felt exposed, as if that look had peeled back the layers of expectation she'd wrapped around herself since puberty, when she first noticed the curve of a classmate's neck in the locker room, and buried the heat in volleyball spikes and debate club. She excused herself from the Thompsons, weaving through the crowd with the grace of someone who'd navigated red carpets since 16. The wind whipped her auburn waves across her face as she approached the railing, heels clicking on the wet tile. Close. The woman was even more arresting, faint laugh lines framing those gray eyes, a silver stud in one earlobe catching the light. She smelled of rain and sandalwood, something earthy amid the perfume haze. "You're staring," the woman said, her voice low and laced with amusement, carrying a faint southern drawl. "Texas, maybe," softened by years on the West Coast. Aurora's cheeks warmed, but she didn't look away. "So are you." It was bold, uncharacteristic, the words slipping out like a confession. She extended her hand. "Aurora Hale." The woman's grip was firm, callous fingers brushing hers in a way that sent a shiver up Aurora's arm. "Jordan Reyes, freelance writer. Here to observe." Her eyes sparkled with mischief. "Your dad's got quite the circus." Aurora laughed. "A real one," startling herself. "Circus is right. Clowns in tuxedos, lions in pearls." She leaned on the railing beside Jordan, the city sprawling below like a glittering apology. "What are you writing about?" "The hypocrisy of coastal elites." Jordan's smile deepened, revealing a dimple Aurora wanted to trace. "Something like that. Or maybe the daughters who make it all bearable." She paused, her gaze softening. "You don't strike me as the circus type." Aurora Hale, the way she said her name like it was a secret, not a headline, made Aurora's stomach twist. They talked then, the rain a curtain shielding them from the party. Jordan was from Austin originally, had bounced around newsrooms from D.C. till now freelancing exposés on tech giants devouring democracy. She was sharp, unapologetic, quoting Audre Lorde between sips of bourbon she'd smuggled in a flask. Aurora found herself opening up, words tumbling out about the weight of her father's legacy, the suffocating script of perfection. "I volunteer at the women's shelter in the Mission," she admitted, voice dropping. "Not for the photos. Because I get it. The hiding." Jordan's eyes held hers, steady. "Hiding what?" Aurora swallowed, the question hanging like lightning. "Everything that doesn't fit the frame." Thunder rolled closer, and Jordan touched her arm, light, fleeting, but electric. "The storm's coming." "Want to get out of here?" Aurora hesitated, glancing back at the party, at Ethan laughing with donors, his hand on some venture capitalist's shoulder. The ring bit into her finger. But Jordan's eyes promised something wilder, truer. "Lead the way." They slipped down the fire escape, laughter bubbling as they dodged security, the city swallowing them whole. Jordan's beat-up Jeep was parked in an alley, and as Aurora slid into the passenger seat, soaked and alive, she felt the crack widen into a chasm. They drove toward the Presidio, windows down, wind howling secrets. Jordan blasted Nina Simone, her voice weaving through feeling good like a spell. At a secluded overlook, they part, the bay a black mirror below. Jordan turned off the engine, the silence thick. "Why'd you come with me?" she asked. Not accusatory, but curious, her profile etched in moonlight. Aurora stared at her hands, the ring glinting like a lie. "Because for once, I wanted to follow the thunder." Jordan leaned in then, slow, giving Aurora every chance to pull away. But she didn't. Their lips met, soft at first, tentative, tasting of rain and risk. deepen. Hungry. Aurora's hands fisting in Jordan's jacket as if anchoring to reality. When they broke apart, breathless, Jordan whispered, "This could ruin you." Aurora's heart thundered. Maybe I want it to. That night marked the fracture. The first illicit text at dawn, "Coffee?" The one on hate. Aurora deleted it, then saved it, her fingers trembling. Days blurred into stolen hours, lunches in hidden cafes where Jordan dissected power structures over lattes, evenings in Aurora's No Valley apartment where they tangled in sheets, bodies mapping uncharted territories. Ethan noticed nothing. Buried in board meetings, her parents planned the wedding like a state dinner. But Aurora changed, her smiles lingered, her steps lighter, even as guilt gnawed like fog. One afternoon, 2 weeks in, Jordan traced the curve of Aurora's hip in the dappled light of Golden Gate Park. "Tell me about her," Jordan murmured, meaning the girl Aurora had been before the senator's shadow. Aurora hesitated, then spilled the tomboy phase in high school, crushes on debate opponents she dismissed as admiration, the night in college at Stanford when she'd kissed a roommate and fled to therapy sessions her father paid for, framing it as stress. "I convinced myself it was a phase. For them. For the image." Jordan's touch stilled, her eyes fierce. "And now, Aurora breathed, pulling her closer. "I see you. And it's not a phase. It's me." Their love bloomed fierce, fragile, a garden in a gale. Jordan introduced her to queer poetry slams in the Castro, where Aurora, incognito in a hoodie, felt seen for the first time. They hiked Muir Woods at dawn, hands linked, whispering futures neither could claim. But shadows loomed, a donor's offhand comment at dinner about Hale's perfect family, Ethan's casual proposal for a prenup that felt like chains. Aurora pushed it down. Until the night of the gala. Her father's biggest event, black tie at the De Young Museum, where she'd be paraded as the blushing bride-to-be. Jordan texted outside. "Wear the red dress." Aurora stared at her reflection, the scarlet silk clinging like sin, and slipped out a side door. They drove to Ocean Beach, waves crashing like accusations. In the Jeep, Aurora confessed the terror, the wedding 3 months away. Her father's polls dipping on social issues, her own complicity in the facade. Jordan held her. Fierce. "Leave it. Choose us." "I can't," Aurora sobbed, even as she kissed her. "Not yet." The fight simmered unspoken after that, Jordan's text cooling to embers. Aurora threw herself into campaign work, volunteering extra shifts at the shelter to atone. But the ache grew, a hollow in her chest. Then, the secret cracked open. It was a Thursday. Rain lashing the windows of her office at the nonprofit she ran, Hale Foundation, irony thick as fog. Her assistant buzzed. "Emma's." "Hale, there's a package." Inside was a USB drive. Anonymous. Labeled truth. Heart pounding. Aurora plugged it in. Photos her and Jordan. Grainy but unmistakable, kisses in alleys, hands in parks. A note. Family first. Or this goes public. Betrayal hit like a wave. Who? A staffer? Ethan's PI? Her father's paranoia knew no bounds. She drove to Jordan's tiny flat in the Mission, bursting in with tears. "Someone knows." Jordan paled, pulling her close. "We'll fight it." But Aurora recoiled. "Fight? My father's career, my life, it's over. Panic clawed her. I have to end this. For everyone. Jordan's face shattered. For everyone but you. The words echoed as Aurora fled, the rain blurring her vision. She confessed to Ethan that night. A sanitized version, cold feet. Needing space. He nodded. Ever the pragmatist. Suggesting counseling. But the photos burned in her mind. A noose tightening. Weeks dragged. A purgatory of silences. Aurora avoided the mission. Deleted Jordan's number. Threw herself into wedding plans like a drowning woman clutching driftwood. Her mother noticed the hollows under her eyes. Prescribed kale smoothies and yoga. Senator Hale boomed about family values at rallies. Aurora at his side. Smiling through nausea. One night, alone in her childhood home in Marin, parents at a retreat, she found an old journal in the attic. Pages from 18. I kissed Sarah. Felt like home. But Dad says home is duty. Tears soaked the ink. She called Jordan. Voicemail beeping like a lifeline. I'm sorry. I was scared. But I miss you. Got. I miss me. Jordan didn't call back. Instead, a letter arrived. Handwritten on recycled paper. You don't shatter illusions by hiding from them. If you want this, come find me. Become whole. Aurora burned the photos that night. Flames dancing in the fireplace. The next morning, she drove to Sacramento, unannounced, to her father's office. We need to talk. He looked up, expectant. The polls. No. Me. The words poured, the lies, the love, the exhaustion. His face cycled shock, denial, fury. This will destroy us. It already has, she whispered. Because you built it on sand. He softened. Fractionally. The man beneath the senator glimpsing his girl. What do you want? Truth. She left him there. The Capitol's marble echoing her heels. Back in the city, she found Jordan at a rally in Dolores Park, queer rights, fists raised against corporate greed. Aurora pushed through the crowd, heart slamming. I'm here. Jordan turned, eyes wary, then softening. For how long? Forever. If you'll have me. They kissed then. Public. Unapologetic. Cheers rising around them like a chorus. The fallout cascaded. Headlines screamed Hale daughter scandal rocks Senate race. Ethan bowed out gracefully. Her mother wept over wine. Donors fled. Polls cratered. But Aurora stood. Testifying at hearings on LGBTQ+ protections. Her voice steady. Jordan's hand in hers off stage. Healing came in fragments. Therapy in No Valley. Weekends in Big Sur where they wrote vows on napkins. Mended family dinners where her father, Jason, learned her name anew. Aurora launched a new foundation, authenticity in politics, drawing queer youth to the table. One evening, a year later, on that same rooftop reclaimed, rain-free, they danced to Nina Simone. City lights winking approval. You shattered it all, Jordan murmured, forehead to hers. Aurora smiled. Whole. And found the light. The days following the rally blurred into a whirlwind of liberation and loss. Each one a thread Aurora wove into the tapestry of her unraveling life. San Francisco, with its layered histories of gold rushes and gay pride, seemed to exhale alongside her. The fog lifting just enough to reveal paths she'd long ignored. She moved out of her No Valley apartment, the one with the bay windows framing two perfect views, and into a cramped walk-up in the Castro, where rainbow flags snapped like defiant banners and neighbors blasted Joni Mitchell at odd hours. Jordan's place was chaos. Stacks of dog-eared books on civil rights, a half-dead fiddle-leaf fig, and a bed that creaked under the weight of their rediscovered hunger. Aurora arrived with 2 suitcases and a potted succulent, her engagement ring mailed back to Ethan with a note of regret that tasted like ash. "This is home?" she asked, surveying the peeling wallpaper and the view of a graffiti-tagged alley. Jordan grinned, pulling her into a kiss that tasted of coffee and possibility. "It's ours. Messy. Real. Like us." They christened the space that afternoon. Bodies slow and reverent, as if mapping the contours of forgiveness. Aurora traced the scar on Jordan's collarbone, a bar fight in Austin over a trans friend's safety, and Jordan whispered stories of exes who fled when words turned to action. "You're the first who came back," she said, voice rough. Guilt flickered in Aurora's chest, but she pushed it down, choosing instead the rhythm of their breaths sinking like waves. Later, tangled in sheets that smelled of patchouli, they talked futures. Jordan dreamed of a book, exposés on political dynasties crumbling under their own weight. Aurora, untethered from the Foundation's board, envisioned advocacy, lobbying for queer-inclusive curricula in California schools, starting with the ones in underserved Bayview neighborhoods. But Freedom's edge was sharp. Her phone buzzed incessantly, her mother's voicemails, laced with pleas and passive aggression. "Darling, think of your father." The family's image. Aurora silenced it, but the words lingered. A ghost in the machine. Senator Hale's campaign imploded in slow motion. Endorsements withdrawn. Fundraisers canceled. Whispers of resignation circling like vultures. Pundits on CNN dissected her reckless indiscretion, framing it as the fall of American virtue, while progressive outlets hailed it as a queer awakening. Aurora scrolled through it all in the dead of night, Jordan asleep beside her, wondering if she'd traded one cage for another. The first real test came at the shelter in the Mission, where Aurora still volunteered, sorting donations in the dim basement amid the scent of canned soup and fresh laundry. Maria, the director, a sturdy Latina woman with a no-nonsense braid and eyes that had seen too much, pulled her aside after a shift. "Heard about the headlines. Mija. You okay?" Aurora shrugged, stacking blankets with mechanical precision. "It's out there now. No more hiding." Maria nodded, handing her a mug of chamomile. "Hiding keeps you alive sometimes. But coming out, that's living." She paused, her gaze sharpening. "Just don't let the noise drown you. We need you whole here. Not some martyr on the news." That night, Aurora dreamed of drowning, not in fog, but in newsprint, headlines swallowing her like quicksand. She woke gasping, Jordan's arms pulling her back. "Talk to me," Jordan murmured, fingers combing through Aurora's damp hair. "It's the shelter," Aurora confessed. "The women there, they fight for scraps while I had silver spoons. What right do I have to their pain?" Jordan sat up, the streetlight carving shadows across her face. "You have every right because you've lived the lie. Use it. Turn the spotlight on them. Not you." Inspired, Aurora pitched a series to a queer media outlet, profiles of trans moms in the Tenderloin, undocumented lovers navigating ICE raids. Jordan edited the drafts over takeout pho, her red pen merciless but kind. "This sentence sings," she'd say, or dig deeper, let her rage breathe. As autumn deepened, leaves turning the Presidio gold, Aurora's family fractured further. Evelyn arrived unannounced one Saturday, perched on the sagging couch in a cashmere twinset that screamed Marin excess. "This place," she said, nose wrinkling. "It's bohemian." Aurora bit back a laugh, pouring herbal tea. "It's home, Mom." Evelyn's eyes, red-rimmed, fixed on her. "Your father. He's drinking again." "The Poles." "Stop." Aurora's voice cracked. "This isn't about Poles. It's about me loving a woman. About being seen." Evelyn reached for her hand, tentative. "I see you, Rory. Always have. But the world, it chews up girls like us." A tear slipped free. "I had dreams too. Before Richard. Art school in Paris. But duty." The confession hung. A bridge Aurora hadn't known existed. They cried then, mother and daughter, over tea gone cold. Evelyn admitting her own buried longings for a roommate in college, dismissed as youthful folly. "I chose silence for you," Evelyn whispered. "To give you the life I couldn't have." Aurora hugged her, fierce. "Then let me choose mine." Evelyn left with a tentative promise. Coffee next week. Neutral ground. It was a start, fragile as fog. Meanwhile, Jordan's world intruded. Her latest piece on a tech CEO's harassment empire went viral, drawing threats that had Aurora pacing at midnight. "Publish under a pseudonym," she urged. But Jordan shook her head. Stubborn. "This is the fight." "Fight. Who speaks?" They argued, voices rising in the cramped kitchen, pots clanging like punctuation. "I can't lose you to some troll's bullet," Aurora shouted, fear twisting her words. Jordan softened, cupping her face. "You won't. We're in this together, thunder and all." Reconciliation came heated. Against the fridge. Apologies murmured into skin. But the undercurrent remained. Aurora's privilege versus Jordan's grit. The push-pull of two worlds colliding. Thanksgiving loomed. A minefield. Aurora invited Jordan to Marin's family table. But Evelyn demurred. Too soon. And Richard sent a curt email. Focus on healing. Not headlines. So they hosted their own potluck with shelter friends. Maria bringing tamales. A trans couple from the rally sharing pie. Laughter filled the flat. Stories weaving like smoke survivals. Joy. The quiet revolutions of chosen family. Plates cleared. Jordan raised her glass. To shattering illusions. And building better ones. Aurora clinked. Eyes locked. To us. But cracks lingered. A leaked email from the campaign, her father's, decrying her phase to advisors, hit the press, fueling tabloid fire. Aurora confronted him by phone. Voice steal. A phase? "I'm your daughter." Silence. Then, "I misspoke." In anger. "Forgive me." She didn't. Not yet. Instead, she channeled it into a speech at a Pride forum in Oakland. Words pouring like rain. "I was the perfect daughter until I dared to love wholly. And in that daring, I found my voice, for all of us silenced by expectation." The crowd roared. Jordan in the front row. Tears gleaming. Afterward, in the green room, they made love on a threadbare couch. Urgent. Affirming. Winter crept in. Holidays a haze of lights and letters. From Ethan. Wishing well from old Stanford friends. Awkward support. Aurora's therapy deepened the work. Unpacking the senator's daughter armor. Reclaiming the girl who climbed redwoods and wrote bad poetry. One snowy eve, rare for the Bay, they walked Haight Street. Windows aglow with tinsel. Jordan stopped at a bookstore, pulling out a worn copy of The Price of Salt. Read this. It's hidden, then free. Aurora devoured it that night. Jordan's head on her lap. The story mirroring their own clandestine fire. Therese and Carol, she whispered. They made it. Jordan smiled. Sly. We will too. But as New Year's dawned, a shadow fell. Jordan's editor offered a DC. Gig 6-month. Investigative beat on Capitol Hill. It's big, she said. Excitement warring with dread. Could change things. Aurora's heart clenched. And us. Long distance. We'd survive. But doubt seeded. The distance feeling like another fracture. The new year unfurled like a tentative flag. Crisp and uncertain. As Aurora and Jordan navigated the rhythms of their entwined lives amid the ceaseless churn of San Francisco's pulse. The city, ever the shapeshifter, mirrored their flux. Mornings in the Castro's bustling cafes, where baristas with neon hair slung oat milk lattes and gossip about the latest tech exodus. Afternoons in advocacy meetings at co-working spaces in Soma, where Aurora hammered out grants for queer youth programs, her laptop humming beside Jordan's, their feet tangled under the table. Evenings dissolved into the intimacy of shared silences, Jordan typing furiously on her book manuscript, Aurora sketching policy briefs by lamplight, the air thick with the scent of jasmine tea and unspoken fears. The DC offer hung between them like a held breath. Jordan, with her restless fire, saw it as a ladder to amplify their voices, exposing the Beltway's hypocrisies from the inside. Perhaps even dragging Senator Hale's skeletons into the light for accountability. Imagine it, she'd say over late-night ramen at a hole-in-the-wall on Valencia Street. Chopsticks waving like batons. Me. Filing reports that make your old man sweat. Justice. Rory. Real change. Roar nodded. Forcing enthusiasm. But inside. The thought gnawed. 6 months of video calls flickering like faulty stars. Of Jordan's laugh filtered through screens. Of empty beds where warmth should be. And what if it pulls you away for good? She asked one night. As they lay on the fire escape. Stars smudged by city glow. A bottle of Napa Cabernet half empty between them. Jordan's hand found hers. Thumb tracing circles on her palm. It won't. You're my anchor. But her gray eyes held a wanderlust Aurora had glimpsed in Austin Tales, the girl who'd hitchhiked cross-country post-college, chasing stories in dive bars and disaster zones. To distract from the looming goodbye, they threw themselves into rituals, weekend escapes to Point Reyes, where they'd hike to lighthouse cliffs, wind whipping secrets from their lips, or volunteer shifts at the shelter turning into family dinners. Maria's stories of 80s AIDS activism weaving bonds tighter than blood. Aurora's platform grew. A TEDx talk on the cost of perfection went viral. Queer icons demanding support. Invitations flooding for panels from LA to Seattle. She felt potent. Visible, not as the senator's prop, but as Aurora Hale, architect of her own narrative. Yet family tendrils tugged. Evelyn's coffees evolved into brunches at Tartine, where mother and daughter dissected recipes and regrets over croissants flaky as old wounds. Your father misses you, Evelyn said one foggy morning. stirring her matcha. He's trying. Therapy. Even. Aurora's fork paused midair. Trying how? Sigh. Reading books. On acceptance. He wants to meet her, Jordan. The offer stunned. A olive branch wrapped in thorns. Aurora related that evening. Jordan's reaction a mix of wariness and wry humor. The senator. Huh. Should I wear my best protest pins? They laughed. But tension simmered. The meeting happened in neutral territory, a quiet bistro in the Embarcadero. Richard Hale arriving in chinos and a polo that screamed concession. He was grayer. Lines etched deeper. The campaign's corpse still stinking on his shoes. Jordan shook his hand firmly. Her leather jacket a subtle armor. Aurora sat between buffer and bridge. Conversation stuttered, weather, the Giants season, until Richard cleared his throat. I mishandled things. The emails. The pressure. I thought I was protecting you. Jordan's gaze was steady, unyielding. Protection that silenced her? That's not love. Senator. He flinched, but held Aurora's eyes. I see that now. And I see you. Aurora. Both of you. It wasn't absolution. But it was apology. Raw and halting. They parted with a promise. Monthly calls. No agendas. Healing's momentum carried them into spring. Cherry blossoms dusting the Presidio paths they claimed as theirs. But the D.C. deadline crept closer. Jordan's packing boxes multiplying like accusations. Aurora buried anxiety in work. Launching a mentorship program linking shelter survivors with queer lawyers, pro bono clinics in the Tenderloin, where she coached intakes. Her voice a steady lighthouse. One clinic day. A young woman named Lena, 19. Black. With braids like coiled strength and eyes bruised by eviction notices, slid into the chair across from Aurora. Heard you're the one who ditched the white picket fence, Lena said. Half-smiled defiant. For what? Aurora leaned in. The fluorescent hum fading. For this. For not pretending anymore. They talked for hours. Lena's story unspooling. A girlfriend deported. Faith community shunning. Streets swallowing dreams. By session's end, Aurora had connected her to housing aid. But more, a spark of solidarity. That night, she told Jordan over takeout burritos, the story igniting something fierce. You're changing lives, Jordan said, kissing her temple. That's the real shatter. But doubt crested as departure neared. They fought over small things, forgotten dishes, Jordan's late nights at the library, masks for the bigger fear. What if DC shows you a world without my baggage? Aurora blurted one evening, rain pattering the window like impatient fingers. Jordan's face crumpled. Your baggage is mine now. But this gig, it's a chance to fight the systems that built it. She cupped Aurora's chin. Trust us. Aurora did. Or tried. Seeing Jordan off at SFO with a kiss that tasted of salt and steel. The airport echoed with goodbyes. Travelers rushing past their bubble. 6 months, Jordan whispered. Then we rewrite the stars. The flat felt cavernous without her. Echoes in the kitchen. Cold spots on the bed. Aurora filled voids with motion. Runs along the marina. Where sailboats bobbed like unanswered questions. Poetry workshops in the Castro. Where she read verses of longing. Voice cracking on lines about thunder stolen. Calls with Jordan were lifelines, 3 a.m. confessions, laughter over beltway absurdities, but latency lagged, turning intimacy into echoes. Evelyn stepped up, surprising with movie nights, Thelma and Louise on repeat, popcorn kernels critiquing the patriarchy. "She'd like you," Aurora said of Jordan. And Evelyn smiled. Genuine. "Invite her back soon." Richard's calls warm too. Questions about her work. Halting pride in her fire. "You're braver than I ever was," he admitted once. Voice thick. Aurora's advocacy bloomed. A bill co-sponsored for queer foster reforms gained traction. Her testimony in Sacramento drawing standing ovations. Lena thrived in the program, landing a paralegal spot, texting Aurora fist emojis at milestones. Yet solitude sharpened edges. A fundraiser invite arrived, from Ethan's circle. As friends, and Aurora attended, armored in silk and resolve. He was kind, unchanged, toasting her success over oysters. "You look free," he said. No bitterness. "I am," she replied, and meant it. But freedom's price surfaced in dreams, Jordan fading into D.C. Proud. Aurora adrift in fog. She woke to a text, "Miss your chaos. Book launch next month, come?" She booked the flight. Heart-lifting. D.C. In June was a steam bath of monuments and machinations. Jordan sublet a shoebox near DuPont Circle. Walls papered in news clippings. The book launch, Veils of Power, lies at the heart of American politics, packed a queer bookstore. Fans queuing for signatures. Aurora watched from the wings, pride swelling as Jordan read passages eviscerating dynastic facades. Her voice a clarion. After, in the green room, they collided, months of ache dissolving in touch. "You're here," Jordan gasped. Hands everywhere. Always. The weekend blurred. Stolen days in Rock Creek Park. Nights in dive bars where Jordan's activist friends grilled Aurora with good-natured suspicion. Toasts to the senator's rebel. But undercurrents stirred, Jordan's editor hinting at extensions. A fire in her eyes Aurora hadn't seen since Austin. On their last morning, over diner pancakes, Jordan broached it. "They want me permanent. More impact." Aurora's fork stilled, syrup congealing. "And San Francisco? Weekends. Summers." But the words rang hollow. A compromise fraying at edges. They parted at Union Station. Kiss lingering. "Fight for us," Aurora whispered. Jordan nodded. But doubt shadowed her smile. Back home. The flat welcomed with ghosts, Jordan's lingering scent on pillows. Aurora dove deeper into work. The bill passing committee. Champagne shared with Maria. "To breaking ceilings," Maria toasted. But cracks widened. Calls grew sporadic. Jordan's stories laced with D.C. Dazzle networking galas. Power lunches. A photo surfaced online. Jordan arm in arm with a sharp-dressed colleague. Caption speculating. Aurora confronted over FaceTime. Voice small. "Who's she?" "A friend." "Colleague." Jordan's frustration flared. "You think I'd, after everything?" The fight escalated. Accusations flying like shrapnel. "You're slipping away," Aurora cried. "And you're clinging to fears," Jordan shot back. "I need this. Rory. We need this." Silence fell. Heavy. "Maybe we need to pause," Aurora said. The words a knife. Jordan's face blanked. "If that's what you want." The call ended. Screen black as grief. Summer's haze settled over San Francisco like a fever dream, the city simmering under a relentless sun that burned away the fog and exposed every raw nerve in Aurora's soul. The pause with Jordan stretched from days to weeks, a chasm widening with each unanswered text. Each silent dawn where Aurora stared at the ceiling, tracing cracks that mirrored her own. The Castro flat, once a sanctuary of shared chaos, now mocked her with Jordan's absence, a forgotten notebook on the nightstand, its pages filled with half-formed poems about thunder and home, a mug ring on the coffee table, stained with the ghosts of lazy mornings. She moved through routines on autopilot, jogs turning punishing, advocacy meetings where her smiles felt painted on while inside a storm raged, questioning if love could weather distance's indifferent grind. Evelyn noticed first, during one of their brunches at a sun-dappled cafe in Hayes Valley, where avocado toast arrived artfully deconstructed. "You look like you haven't slept since the gold rush," she said, pushing a croissant toward Aurora with maternal insistence. Her eyes, softer now in retirement's glow, held concern unmasked by politics. Aurora poked at the pastry, flakes crumbling like her resolve. "Jordan and I hit a wall. The DC thing. It's pulling her." Evelyn sipped her latte, considering. "Distance tests. Darling. Your father and I endured worse campaign trails. Scandals hushed." She paused, a rare vulnerability surfacing. "But we chose survival over spark. Don't make our mistake." The advice lingered as Aurora threw herself into the mentorship program, now a beacon for dozens like Lena, who dropped by the flat unannounced one evening with takeout from a pupuseria and stories of courtroom victories. "You gave me wings," Lena said, hugging her tight, her energy a bomb against the void. They stayed up late, binging Gentleman Jack on the couch, toasting to on-screen lovers who defied eras. For a night, Aurora laughed real unguarded, remembering the woman she'd become in Jordan's light. But solitude clawed back. At a networking event in Soma, amid venture capitalists pitching inclusive apps that tokenize diversity, Aurora locked eyes with an old flame from Stanford days, Riley, a software engineer with tousled blonde hair and a disarming grin, now out and proud in the Valley scene. "Rory Hale," Riley drawled, clinking glasses. "The scandal that slayed. Drinks sometime. Innocent," Aurora told herself, accepting. They met at a rooftop bar in the Mission, skyline twinkling like false promises. Riley was easy, flirty banter over gin and tonics, shared memories of dorm crushes and late-night philosophy rants. No stakes, no storms. When Riley leaned in, lips brushing Aurora's cheek, it was soft, uncomplicated. Aurora pulled back, polite, but the temptation lingered. A simpler love, unscarred by politics or peril. She confessed to Maria over shelter inventory, stacking diapers in the humid basement. "It's not cheating. Just wondering if I could start fresh," Maria snorted, tossing a pack into the bin. "Fresh, baby. Love's not a reset button. Its roots deep, tangled. You think Jordan's not wondering the same in that swamp?" The words pierced, prompting a midnight call to DC. Jordan answered groggy, voice thick with sleep and something sharper resentment. "Rory, it's 2 a.m. I miss you," Aurora blurted. The pause. "It's killing me." Silence. Then a sigh. "Me too. But you said I was scared of losing you to marble halls and power plays. Tears choked her. Come home. Please. Jordan's response was measured, laced with hurt. Home's where the fight is. For now. That's here. But visit next weekend. We'll talk. Hope flickered. Fragile. Aurora booked the flight, packing with care, a playlist of their songs, a locket with a pressed redwood leaf from Muir Woods. DC welcomed her with humidity and honks, Jordan meeting her at Reagan with a tentative hug that bloomed into desperate kisses in the parking garage. The weekend was a reclamation. Lazy brunches in Georgetown, where they people-watched politicos and plotted Jordan's next exposé, afternoons in the Smithsonian, hands linked amid artifacts of rebellion, whispering parallels to their own uprising. Nights dissolved in the sublet, bodies rediscovering rhythms, Jordan's touches apologetic, fervent. I hate this city without you, she murmured against Aurora's neck, fingers mapping freckles like constellations. Then don't stay, Aurora urged, postcoital glow fading into plea. The book's done. What's next can't be worth us. Jordan propped on an elbow, gray eyes stormy. It's not just the book. It's impact, holding power accountable. Your father's world. Rory. If I leave now, my father's world broke me. Aurora sat up, sheets pooling. And it's breaking us. Choose. The argument simmered through Sunday. Words weaponized. Jordan accusing clinginess rooted in privilege. Aurora firing back at Jordan's messiah complex. They parted at the airport raw. Jordan's goodbye kiss bruising. Think on it, she said. I will too. Back in the bay. Summer's heat wave broke with thunder literal. Sheets of rain lashing the city like judgment. Aurora sought solace in nature. Driving to Big Sur alone. The Pacific a churning mirror to her turmoil. On a cliffside trail. Wind howling. She screamed into the void. Rage at Jordan's ambition. At her own fears. At the love that demanded sacrifice. Tears mixed with spray. Catharsis carving space. Therapy unpacked it. The abandonment echoes from childhood. Richard's absences masked as duty. You're worthy of pursuit, her counselor affirmed. A queer elder with salt and pepper curls. Demand it. Emboldened. Aurora texted Jordan. Big Sur healed me. Now heal us. Resign. Or I walk. The reply came hours later. Meeting with editor tomorrow. Pray for me. Agony. Aurora paced the flat, calling Evelyn for the first time in crisis. What if it's over? Then grieve, her mother said. Voice steady. And rise. Like you taught me. The editor's decision. Extension. Not permanence, a compromise. Jordan flying back bi-weekly. Relief flooded. But so did resentment. It felt like settling. A half measure for a whole heart. They reunited at SFO. Embrace fierce. But the fracture lingered. Fall arrived. Leaves carpeting Golden Gate Park, where they picnicked amid buskers. Jordan unveiling a new chapter outline. Exposés on queer erasure and policy. For us, she said. Eyes earnest. For the leanness. Aurora forgave. Or tried. Their love rekindling in stolen intensities. A weekend in Napa. Not as engagement ghosts but lovers toasting futures. A poetry slam where Aurora read of thunder's echo. Jordan whooping loudest. Family mended incrementally. Richard hosted a tentative dinner in Marin, awkward, with Evelyn's Osso Bucco as peace offering. He toasted Jordan. To new beginnings, she clinked, guarded but gracious. Yet undercurrents swirled. At a Castro block party, Jordan danced with an old DC. Contact platonic. Aurora knew but jealousy spiked. Irrational. Later, in bed, she voiced it. I see you slipping. Jordan sighed, pulling away. Or you see threats where there's none. Trust? Rory. Or what's left? The question haunted, prompting space. A solo retreat to a Mendocino cabin, where Aurora journaled furiously, pages of doubt, desire, the woman she'd become. She emerged clearer. Love wasn't possession, but parallel paths converging. Returning, she found Jordan packing for another stint. I'm in, Aurora said, hugging her. But set boundaries. Monthly check-ins. No extensions without us. Jordan agreed. Relief mutual. Winter whispered in. Holidays approaching. They hosted Evelyn and Richard. First joint gathering. Tensions thawing over lax and stories. Lena crashed, bringing joy. The flat alive with laughter. New Year's Eve. On that Presidio overlook. Fireworks bursting over the bay. Jordan knelt not proposal, but promise. Marry me? Not today. But when we're ready. Equal. Tears streamed. Yes. But as confetti fell. A call from Richard, health scare, prostate. Early but seismic. Come home, he rasped. Aurora flew north. Jordan beside. The illusion's final shatter looming. Not of perfection, but of grudges held too long. Winter gripped San Francisco with uncharacteristic ferocity. The bay winds howling like unhealed wounds as Aurora and Jordan rushed north to Marin. The highway a blurred ribbon of rain and resolve. Richard Hale's diagnosis landed like a seismic fault line. Cracking open fault lines long buried under layers of resentment and rhetoric. The family estate, perched on a bluff overlooking the churning Pacific. All white columns and manicured lawns, felt less like a haven and more like a mausoleum when they arrived. Evelyn's face ashen in the foyer. Her silk robe clutched like armor. He's resting, she whispered, leading them upstairs past walls lined with framed campaigns, Richard beaming beside presidents, Aurora as a gap-toothed teen in pigtails, the perfect family frozen in amber. The doctor's optimistic, surgery next month. But he wants to see you. Rory. Both of you. Aurora's hand tightened in Jordan's, knuckles white. We're here. Richard lay propped in the four-poster bed. Monitors beeping softly. His silver hair disheveled. The senatorial bluster stripped to vulnerability. His eyes, faded but sharp, met Aurora's first. You came. She crossed the room, perching on the bed's edge, the mattress dipping under her weight. Of course. The word carried years, arguments, silences, the email that had gutted her. But illness humbled, softening edges. He glanced at Jordan, standing sentinel by the door, her leather jacket still damp. And you. The writer who's rewriting my legacy. Jordan stepped forward, voice even. Not rewriting. Exposing. But. Truce. For now. Richard nodded. A ghost of a smile. Fair. He turned back to Aurora, hand trembling as he took hers. I was wrong. About you. About love. This, he gestured weakly at the tubes. It's a wake-up. I don't want to die with regrets. Tears pricked Aurora's eyes. You're not dying, Dad. But if I were, I'd want you happy. With her. The admission hung. Profound. A bridge built from bedside confessions. They stayed the weekend. The house thawing under tentative normalcy. Evelyn's mushroom risotto shared at the oak table. Stories of Richard's early days. A idealistic law student wooing her at Berkeley protests. Jordan listened. Contributing barbs about D.C. absurdities. Drawing rare laughs from the senator. Aurora mediated. Heart swelling at the alchemy. Illness forging forgiveness. Driving back Sunday. Fog cloaking the bridge. Jordan squeezed her thigh. That was something. Aurora exhaled. Healing. Messy. But real. The episode rippled outward, infusing their lives with urgency. Jordan curtailed D.C. trips, negotiating remote contributions. Her book tour rerouted through the Bay. Aurora's advocacy surged. Richard's connections begrudgingly lent open doors to Albany, where she lobbied for expanded trans health care. Her speeches laced with personal fire. My father's fight taught me vulnerability's power. Let's wield it for all. Lena, now a program star, co-presented at one event. Her poise electric. You started this, she told Aurora backstage. Hugging fierce. Now we finish. Spring bloom defiant. Cherry blossoms defiant against late frosts. As Aurora and Jordan planned their commitment, not a wedding, but a vow renewal in Big Sur. Intimate. With shelter friends and family. Invites went out. Evelyn cooing over wildflower motifs. Richard promising to officiate if strength allowed. But conflict brewed anew. Insidious. Jordan's book hit shelves to acclaim. Reviews praising its bracing takedown of elite facades. One chapter thinly veiling the hails. Whispers reached Aurora at a Castro fundraiser. Your girl's airing laundry. She brushed it off. But unease festered. The betrayal crystallized at a signing in the Mission. Aurora attending incognito in a ball cap. Post-reading Q&A turned probing. A fan asking about inspirations for the closeted daughter. Jordan's response, eloquent. Anonymized still stung. Details too intimate, the rooftop kiss. The engagement rings gleam. In the green room, Aurora confronted. Voice low. You used us. Our story. Jordan paled. Setting down her pen. It's not, it's composite. For the greater good. Greater good. Aurora's laugh was bitter. My pain is fodder? The argument exploded. Words like shrapnel. Jordan defending art's necessity. Aurora accusing exploitation. I trusted you with my shatter. And you commodified it. Jordan's eyes flashed. Everything's political. Rory. Silence protects no one. They stormed apart. Aurora fleeing to the Embarcadero. Waves crashing judgment. Hours later, Jordan found her on a bench, soaked and shivering. I'm sorry, she said, kneeling. It was cathartic, not cruel. But I crossed a line. Aurora looked up. Rain streaking. We both did. Trust's fragile. Reconciliation came slow. Therapy sessions for the couple. A queer mediator unpacking power imbalances. Jordan's journalistic drive versus Aurora's guarded heart. Write the epilogue with me, Aurora proposed. Our truth. Not the archetype. Jordan agreed, co-authoring a foreword on love's redemptive mess. Richard's surgery loomed, a checkpoint. They gathered pre-op in Marin, Evelyn's garden alive with lupins. He emerged from anesthesia groggy but grinning. First words, "Tell Jordan her book's on my nightstand." Recovery bonded them oddly, Richard calling Jordan for policy riffs, Evelyn confiding garden woes. Aurora mediated, gratitude deepening. Summer solstice brought the vow ceremony, Big Sur cliffs, salt air anointing, Maria officiating with Chicana blessings. Vows exchanged, Aurora's, "I choose your storm every dawn," Jordan's, "Your light guides my fight," rings simple gold, engraved with thunder, slipped on amid cheers. Lena snapping photos, Evelyn dabbing tears. Honeymoon was a road trip, Highway 1 to Oregon. Coastal motels with creaky beds. Conversations unspooling like thread. In Cannon Beach, haystacks looming. They made love under stars. Bodies a dialogue of amends. Back home, Harmony hummed, until a tabloid drop leaked photos from the fundraiser year ago. Resurfaced with venom. Hail heiress's lesbian lust. Senator's shame eternal. Polls for Richard's potential comeback tanked. Donors resurface grudges. Aurora braced for fallout. But Richard called, "Ignore it. We're stronger." Jordan, however, spiraled, guilt over the book fueling paranoia. "This is my fault. I stirred the hornets." "No," Aurora soothed, holding her through nightmares. "It's theirs." Fall deepened conflicts subtly. Jordan's freelance gigs pulling late hours. Aurora's travel for panels leaving voids. A DC conference invite tempted Jordan. 1 week. High stakes. Aurora's no was firm. "We've balanced enough." Resentment simmered, erupting over Thanksgiving planning. Marin or Castro? "Your family's healing," Jordan snapped. "Mine's scattered." "Let me choose." Aurora recoiled. "And I always bend?" The pause echoed their first fracture. Nights on opposite couches. Lena mediated. Over wine. Talk roots. Not reactions. They did. In therapy, Jordan admitting ambition's fear of stagnation. Aurora voicing abandonment's echo. "We're partners," the counselor urged. "Pivot together." Christmas mended. A quiet tree in the flat. Richard and Evelyn visiting with gifts. A first edition Audre Lorde for Jordan. A locket for Aurora etched unshattered. New Year dawned collaborative. Joint op-ed on queer family resilience. Published in the Chronicle. Drawing fan mail from across the heartland. But climax brewed in spring. Richard's announcement running again. "With my daughter's wisdom," Aurora agreed to advise. Cautiously. Jordan hesitated. Book success opening Ivy League lectures. Tour? Or stay? "Stay," Aurora pleaded. Jordan chose the tour. 3 months. Coasts only. Compromise. Aurora nodded. But heart ached. The pull testing anew. The revelation hit like a rogue wave, cresting in the sterile hum of a Sacramento press room, where flashbulbs popped like gunfire and Senator Richard Hale stood at the podium, his recovery-forged resolve etched in every line of his face. It was late April. The state capitol's rose gardens blooming riotous outside. But inside, the air crackled with the electricity of comeback. Hale, unbowed, vowing a new era of inclusive leadership, his arm around Aurora. Jordan a quiet pillar in the front row. The speech soared. Nods to marriage equality expansions, trans rights fortifications, phrases cribbed from Aurora's briefs. Cheers erupted. Reporters scribbling furiously. The illusion of redemption polished to a sheen. But as the scrum encircled, a journalist from a conservative rag-slick suit, sharper eyes thrust a mic forward. "Senator, your daughter's affair tanked your last bid. How's America to trust family values from a household of fluidity?" The room froze. Time dilating. Richard's jaw tightened, but Aurora stepped up, voice ablade. "My life isn't a liability. It's a testament to love's strength, to policy born of lived truth." Flashes blinded, questions barraging, but she held Jordan's gaze her anchor from the crowd. Backstage, euphoria warred with exhaustion. Richard hugged her fierce. "Proud kid." Evelyn fussed with Aurora's collar, whispering, "You shone." Jordan waited. Bouquet of daisies pilfered from decor. "My warrior." The high crashed that night in their hotel suite overlooking the American River. Champagne chilling and used. Jordan's phone buzzed, a contact from her DC. "Days." Voice urgent. Rumor mills churning. "Hale Camp's got dirt on you affair pics. But twisted. They're shopping it to bury the comeback." Aurora paled. The old USB nightmare resurrecting. "Who? Dad wouldn't." "Not him," Jordan cut in. Pacing. "AIDS. Old guard. Loyal to the pure image. Betrayal from within." Fury ignited. Aurora stormed the campaign HQ next morning, Jordan in tow, demanding a purge. Richard, bleary from strategy sessions, convened the inner circle, loyalists sweating under fluorescent glare. Confessions spilled. A junior advisor, bitter over demotion, leaking to outlets for payback. Dismissals flew. NDAs signed in blood. But damage seeped. Headlines twisted the photos into Hale Dynasty's depravity, donors wavering, progressive allies questioning alliances. Aurora's phone rang off, Lena worried, Maria raging, even Ethan texting solidarity. The climax unfolded at a pivotal fundraiser in Napa. Vineyards rolling gold under dusk. Power players toasting vintages. Aurora and Jordan arrived armored. Aurora in emerald silk echoing her eyes. Jordan in tailored black. A statement of unapologetic presence. Speeches flowed. Richard on redemption. Aurora on intersectional justice, but midway, a screen flickered to life behind him, projected leaks. Their most private moments defiled in pixels. Gasps rippled. Wine glasses clinking like judgments. Richard faltered. Podium gripped white-knuckled. Jordan surged forward, snatching the remote, killing the feed. Enough. Her voice boomed. Raw. This isn't politics. It's predation. Roar joined. Hand in Jordan's. Facing the stunned elite. These images, they're us love. Real and resilient. Leak them if you must. But know this, silencing us strengthens nothing. It weakens America. The room held breath. Then applause, scattered at first, swelling as donors nodded. A tech mogul standing. To authenticity. Richard recovered, weaving the moment into manifesto. My family's scars? They're our strength. The night salvaged. But scars deepened. Back in the city. Aurora unraveled. Nights pacing the flat. Flashbacks to the rooftops' innocence. They took our sacred, she sobbed to Jordan. Curled on the rug. Jordan held her. Fierce. We'll reclaim it. Oh. If needed. Legal eagles circled. pro bono from queer firms, suits for defamation and privacy breach. But victory tasted Pyrrhic. Trust in Richard's camp fractured. Aurora withdrawing advisory role. I need space, she told him over coffee in Sausalito. Fog muting the bay. To heal without your shadow, he nodded. Pained. I understand. But no, I'm grateful. Jordan's tour launch coincided. A East Coast swing amid the melee. Go, Aurora urged. Masking ache. Shine. I'll hold here. Separation amplified storms. Jordan's calls laced with venue exhaustion. Aurora's with media skirmishes. A particularly vicious op-ed, Hale's lesbian liability, prompted therapy meltdowns. Aurora questioning. Am I the shatterer? Her counselor reframed. You're the catalyst. Pain births change. Lena's visit grounded. A girl's night in. Painting nails electric blue. Dissecting betrayals. Family's not blood, Lena said. It's who shows up. She revealed her own. A sibling outing her to parents. Rift mending slow. You taught me grace. Maria hosted a ritual. Sage smudging at the shelter. Women circling Aurora. Hands on shoulders chanting affirmations. Smoke curled. Cleansing. Jordan returned mid-tour for a hearing. Depositions grilling the leaker. Justice swift. Settlement. Gag order. Quiet vindication. In the courthouse hallway. They kissed amid marble echoes. Triumph tasting sweet. But undercurrents pulled. Jordan's publisher pushing a sequel. Delving deeper into personal reckonings. Aurora balked. Not again. It's controlled, Jordan promised. Our narrative. Doubt-seated. But summer soothed. A retreat to Oregon coast. Cabins with ocean views. Days hiking tide pools. Nights bonfires where they burned printed headlines. Ashes scattering like forgiveness. Fall brought harvest. Richard's polls rebounding on authenticity wave. Aurora guesting selectively. Her own nonprofit expanding to D.C. Satellite. Evelyn's art class enrollment. Watercolors of stormy seas, mirrored mending. Thanksgiving healed further. Full table in Marin. Lena and Maria included. Toasts to survivors. Richard pulled Jordan aside. You saved us that night. Love does, she replied. Winter's cusp. A bombshell. Jordan's positive pregnancy test. IVF they discuss whimsically. Now real via a clinic in the Castro. Our family, she whispered. Juan trembling. Aurora's joy crashed with fear. Scandal's shadow on a child? But resolve hardened. We'll protect them. All. The news galvanized. Betrayals receding as they planned. Nursery in the flat. Co-parenting classes with queer doulas. Yet climax's echo lingered in a final leak. Audio of Richard's old confidant admitting orchestration. Tying to Ethan's circle, payback's long arm. Confrontation at a neutral cafe. Ethan contrite. Hired the wrong firm. It spiraled. Aurora's forgiveness was steel. Heal your hurts elsewhere. Resolution dawned internal. Aurora's memoir pitch. Shattered grace. Co-written with Jordan. Reclaiming the narrative. As snow dusted the hills, a rarity, they stood on the bluff. Hands on Jordan's still flat belly. Richard joining silently. To illusions broken, he toasted. And truths embraced, Aurora added. The pregnancy announcement rippled through their world like a stone in still water, sending concentric circles of joy, trepidation, and transformation across the fractured landscape of Aurora and Jordan's lives. Winter wrapped San Francisco in a rare hush. the usual drizzle giving way to crystalline mornings where the bay gleamed like polished sapphire. And Aurora found herself waking to the soft cadence of Jordan's breathing, one hand instinctively drifting to the gentle swell beginning to show. 20 weeks. The ultrasound image, a grainy galaxy of limbs and heartbeat, tacked to the fridge like a talisman. Besides scribbled ultrasound poetry, tiny thunder, brewing storms of love. Aurora's days reshaped around this miracle. Mornings blending smoothies with ginger to ease Jordan's nausea. Afternoons at prenatal yoga in the Castro, where instructors with henned hands guided them through warrior poses adapted for two. The nonprofit thrived. Aurora delegating more to Lena, now director in training, to carve space for nesting. They transformed the flat spare room, walls painted sage green, a crib assembled amid laughter and swear words, mobiles of redwood leaves dangling like whispered promises. Family wove closer. Evelyn dove into grandmother mode, knitting booties in pastels. Her art classes yielding portraits of the bump, Jordan's profile, fierce and luminous. For the gallery of us, she said, hanging one in the living room. Richard, post-recovery vigor renewed, pored over baby namebooks during weekly Zooms, vetoing politically charged options with gruff humor. No liberty, too on the nose. His campaign chugged steady. The leak sting faded to footnotes. Aurora's occasional input a bridge unburned. Betrayal's aftermath healed in layers. The leaker's trial wrapped quietly, community service. Public apology read in a courtroom where Aurora testified not for vengeance, but validation. Words wound deeper than images. Choose healing. Ethan faded to occasional holiday cards. His contrition a closed chapter. Jordan's book sequel evolved into a collaborative beast, Echoes of Shatter. Love in the public eye, their voices intertwining. Aurora's vulnerability tempering Jordan's edge. Early reviews trickled. A testament to queer resilience. One queer-lit journal gushed. But internal tempests brewed. Jordan's body shifted. Aches and hips. Swells of emotion crashing unpredictably, and with them, doubts surfaced in the quiet hours. One midnight, as rain tapped the window like insistent fingers, she turned from Aurora's embrace. What if I'm not enough? Writer, partner, parent, the world's already judged us. Aurora pulled her close. Heartbeat a lullaby. You're everything. And we'll learn the rest. Aurora's own shadows stirred. Therapy unearthed prenatal anxieties. Echoes of her closeted youth fearing rejection's inheritance. Will they hate me for who I love? She confessed to her counselor. Fog mirror reflecting hollow cheeks. Unlikely, the elder replied. Sage eyes kind. Children teach us our worth anew. Maria's circle anchored. Monthly suppers at the shelter. Now including bump rubs and birth stories from transparents. Laughter a poultice. Lena, dating a barista with sleeve tattoos. Shared ultrasound pics in solidarity. Our kids'll storm the barricades together. Spring unfurled. Jordan's energy rebounding. The bump a proud curve under flowy dresses. They traveled lightly, a baby moon to Carmel. Strolling white sands. Toes in tide pools teeming with starfish. Feel that. Jordan pressed Aurora's palm to her side. A flutter rippling. Our fighter. Names crystallized. Riley for a girl, nod to Aurora's almost flame. Reclaimed. Elias for a boy. Evoking Jordan's Austin roots. Richard's midterms loomed. A gauntlet. Aurora mediated a debate prep. Jordan lurking with notes on authenticity. Post-win. Victory party in Sacramento overflowed. Old aides redeemed. New allies toasting Hail 2.0. But a donor's aside. Charming wife. Senator. Graded. Jordan's smile tight. In the hotel. She unloaded. Wife? We're pioneers. Not props. Aurora soothed. But seed planted. Visibility's double edge. Protests followed. A counter-rally outside. Signs decrying queer washing. Jordan itched to join. Aurora pulling back. Not now. The babies. Always the excuse? Jordan snapped. Hormones fueling fire. Our child's born into fight. Hiding teaches shame. The clash escalated. Words hurled in the suite. Aurora accusing recklessness. Jordan evasion. Doors slammed. Aurora retreating to the balcony. City lights blurring through tears. Jordan followed. Apology in her stance. I'm scared too. Of failing them. They collapsed together. Sobs sinking. Reaffirming in whispers. We fight smart. Together. Resolution came collaborative. A family vlog, low-key YouTube dispatches on queer parenting prep. Jordan's narration wry. Aurora's warmth genuine. Views climbed. Comments a bomb. Y'all give hope. Summer swelled. The bump full moon. Kicks like Morse code. Evelyn hosted a sprinkle pastel cupcakes. Games naming feelings in jars, joy. Jitters. Jubilation. Richard gifted a trust fund. For choices. Not chains. Labor's approach sharpened focus. Classes on breathwork. Doulas on speed dial. One sweltering eve. Contractions teased, false alarms sending them to the ER. Laughter amid monitors. Fall's equinox. The real surge hit. Midnight waters breaking on the kitchen tile. Jordan's gasp echoing. Aurora drove through pre-dawn streets. Hand gripping hers. Hospital blur, contractions waves. Jordan's curses poetic. Aurora's coaching steady. Hours distilled to eternity. Pushes. Pauses. The room a cocoon of beeps and bellows. Dawn cracked as Riley Elias Reyeshale arrived. 6 pounds of fury and pink. Cry piercing like triumph. Aurora held her first. Tiny fist curling round finger. Jordan's exhausted eyes meeting hers over the swaddle. We did it. The world paused. Hospital hush sacred. Discharge brought homecoming. Flat baby-proofed. Loved ones orbiting. Sleepless nights bonded deeper, tag team feeds. Jordan's lullabies in Spanish. Aurora's stories of thunder moms. Challenges wove in. Colic cries shattering peace. Jordan's postpartum fog clouding joy. What if I'm broken? She whispered one dawn. Riley fussing. Aurora kissed her temple. You're blooming. We all are. Richard's visit softened him further. Diaper changes bungled. But eyes misty holding grandkid. Better than any bill. Evelyn's portraits expanded. Triptych of new family. Gallery wall growing. Winter returned gentle. Riley's first snowflake wonder cooed over. Betrayals? Distant echoes. Healed by gurgles and grips. Aurora's book tour kicked off local readings in indie shops. Riley napping backstage. Crowds swelled. Stories shared. You made space for my coming out. Healing's arc curved toward wholeness. Illusions long shattered. Truths tenderly forged. The first year of Riley's life unfolded like a tapestry woven from the threads of their hard-won peace. Each day a deliberate stitch pulling Aurora and Jordan closer to the family they dared to dream amid the ruins of old illusions. San Francisco, with its eternal reinvention, cradled them, mornings in the Castro Park. Riley's chubby legs kicking in the grass as Jordan pushed the swing. her laughter mingling with coos. While Aurora snapped photos, the Golden Gate a hazy backdrop to their domestic symphony. The flat evolved into a haven. Walls adorned with Riley's finger paint abstracts. Bookshelves sagging under board books and manifestos. The air scented with lavender diffusers and the milky sweetness of new life. Parenthood's graces came laced with grit. Sleepless stretches tested tempers, Jordan's witching hour patrols. Pacing with Riley slung in a carrier. Humming rancheras from her Austin childhood. Aurora's dawn feeds. Eyes heavy but heart full. Whispering policy dreams to tiny ears. Postpartum shadow lifted gradually for Jordan. Therapy and tinctures allies. Her body reclaiming strength in stroller jogs along the Embarcadero, where foghorns narrated resilience. Aurora's work balanced anew. Non-profit helm shared with Lena, who now led with maternal fire. Her own toddler in tow for board meetings. Aurora's memoir soared. Shattered grace climbing bestseller lists. Tour stops blending readings with Riley cameos. Audiences melting at the Thunder Baby's gummy smiles. This is advocacy incarnate, one fan teared. Hugging her. Family orbits stabilized. Evelyn's Marin home became weekly refuge. Grandma's garden a playground, where Riley chased butterflies and Richard, cane in hand from a minor fall, spun tales of senatorial escapades sanitized for tots. His re-election secured narrowly. Victory speech crediting my daughters Blood and Chosen for teaching heart over hustle. Post-swearing-in. He endowed a queer youth scholarship in Riley's name. A quiet atonement. Betrayal's embers cooled to ash. The leaker faded to obscurity. Ethan's path diverging to philanthropy in Seattle. A Christmas card bearing olive branch and no regrets. Jordan's publisher greenlit a parenting spin-off, Thunder in the Nursery. Raising rebels but boundaries held. No personal leaks. Aurora co-editing fiercely. Challenges crested softly. Riley's first fever spiking at midnight. Our dash blurring into worry. Jordan's book deadline clashing with teething tyranny. Frustrations flaring over divided loads. I need you. Not just halves. Aurora vented one rainy eve. Dishes piling like unspoken grievances. Jordan pulled her to the couch. Riley dozing between. We're wholes now, 3 parts infinite. They realigned. Chore charts with heart emojis. Date nights at hole-in-the-wall Ticarius. Reclaiming coupledom and stolen glances. Milestones marked healing. Riley's first steps wobbling toward Jordan at a Dolores Park picnic. Cheers from Maria's crew. First word, Mama, slurred to Aurora during bath time. Tears splashing with bubbles. Lena's wedding to her barista beau. In a backyard ceremony. Riley flower girl and tool. Their families merging like vines. Summer's heat wave brought a pilgrimage. Austin for Jordan's roots. Riley meeting great-aunties with drawls thick as molasses. Barbecues under live oaks where Jordan traced her fire's origin. This land made me fighter, she told Aurora. Stars wheeling overhead. You made me home. Fall's harvest yielded abundance. Richard's holiday party. Inclusive gala at the De Young, where Riley toddled among donors. Jordan's arm linked with Aurora's. No shadows lurking. Evelyn unveiled her exhibit, Illusions Unveiled, galleries of family portraits. Stormy seas to sunlit nurseries. Critics hailing raw humanism. Winter solstice. Riley's first birthday dawned golden. The flat-brimmed streamers in sage. A smash cake of organic beets. Guests spilling laughter. Toasts flowed, Richard's to legacies rewritten. Lena's to Auntie's eternal. Maria's to the shatter that sparked. As candles flickered. Aurora caught Jordan's eye across the chaos. Riley smearing frosting on her cheek. In that gaze, the journey telescoped. Rooftop thunder to nursery gurgles. Betrayals to bonds unbreakable. Later, tucking Riley in crib rails guardians. Mobile twirling, they stood entwined. Breath sinking. "We made this," Jordan whispered. Hand on Aurora's heart. Aurora smiled. Green eyes luminous. From shards to stars, the year closed on New Year's. Presidio Overlook reclaimed. Fireworks bloomed over the bay. Riley bundled asleep in carrier. Richard and Evelyn nearby. Hands linked in rare affection. Aurora raised a flask bourbon. Jordan's nod to Austin. To illusions shattered. And illusions cherished, Jordan added. Kissing her slow. Richard chuckled. Arm around Evelyn. To family messy. Mighty. As echoes faded. The city hummed below. A symphony of second chances. Aurora felt the weight lift. Not gone but transformed. Pain alchemized to purpose. Love a light enduring. In Riley's soft snores. Jordan's steady warmth. The circle of kin. She glimpsed eternity. Not perfection, but presence. Profound and whole. Humanity's quiet miracle. In breaking, we mend. In loving fiercely, we heal. And in that healing, we rise thundersoft, storm strong, forever changed.